Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. Palestine here. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to make this video because I had a choice. I could make a video on Parkinson's because maybe I might have it because my cousin has Parkinson's. I just found that out. And then she said that her dad had Parkinson's too. So Parkinson's obviously runs in the family. And so basically my mom, they wanted to test my mother for Parkinson's and she would not allow them to do the test. But see, the thing is, it's not really any test per se for Parkinson's, although Parkinson's is related to Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is related to depression. So those are like linked disorders, but there's not really any proper test to check if you have Parkinson's. So I thought, well, I could make a test about Parkinson's, but then I thought, well, I don't have a diagnosis of Parkinson's. So since I don't have a diagnosis of Parkinson's, there's no reason for me to speculate about whether I may or may not have it. So I decided that I'm not going to do the video on Parkinson's, and I decided I was going to make a video on something else that's been on my mind, and it was on the Clancy case, because I've made a few videos about the Clancy case, but obviously it's on my mind, and I watch YouTube videos because you can stream the court case live, even though I don't want to stream the court case live because, you know, I would rather somebody else watch it and then tell me what it says, because I'm really busy. I don't have time to watch the whole court case. But people like lawyers and doctors and commentators and things like that, it's in their interest to stream it live and watch every bit of it to see what information they can get out of it. But since I'm not one of those professional people, then I thought, well, it's better if I just let them watch it and tell me what it says so I can concentrate on other things, because at the moment I'm working on Excel. But what I wanted to reflect on is Lindsay and Patrick's relationship. I'm sure that Lindsay and Patrick, I'm sure they were middle class, and they went to church, or their parents went to church anyway. Patrick was Catholic and his mother was Catholic, so I don't know how religious Lindsay and Patrick were, but I know Patrick's mother was Catholic, and I don't know if Lindsay's mother was religious or not, but Patrick's mother was Catholic. So it came out in the court case that Patrick's mother is a practicing Catholic, and so they said, oh, well, you know, it's a mortal sin to do somebody in. And so obviously that was done just to upset Patrick's mother. And then it came out in the court case that Lindsay wasn't as close to Patrick's mother as she thought she was. So that came out in the court case as well. And lawyer Lee said it wasn't necessary for her to say those things to Patrick's mother. So the lawyer was just trying to put a divide between Patrick's mother, because Patrick's mother was supporting Lindsay and what she had done, you know. But what I wanted to talk about was Lindsay and Patrick's relationship. So obviously in October 2022, when Lindsay's mental health became worse, she asked Patrick to sleep downstairs in the basement. So basically, she said that she did it because she had really bad insomnia, and then her mental health was deteriorating, and that's why she wanted Patrick to sleep in the basement. But then what happened was, although she didn't want to sleep with Patrick, she asked her mother to sleep with her because she said that she was afraid of being alone. So she didn't want to sleep with Patrick, but she did want to sleep with her mother. So that lets you know that there are some problems there. And she said in her notes that she wanted to be connected with Patrick again. So I looked on Google, and Google said that when they started sleeping apart, that their relationship was strengthened. But I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I mean, I know that my mom, she sleeps apart from my stepdad, and I don't think that really strengthened their relationship. They haven't been intimate for, well, more than half a century. So I don't think that strengthened their relationship. But they stayed together even though they weren't close. And so now, like, my stepdad is staying with my mom, and he does help her as much as he can. But he's in his late 80s now, so there's not a lot he can do. And then so I don't think that Lindsay and Patrick sleeping apart, I don't think that that strengthened their relationship. I don't know who said it strengthened their relationship. I don't know if it was just something on Google, if it Copilot hallucinated it. But I think that whenever you sleep apart, that indicates there are problems in the relationship. And so basically, I've been divorced 2 times, and I've had boyfriends. And so I can tell you from my personal first-hand experience, when you start sleeping apart, there are problems in the relationship. I can tell you that from my personal first-hand experience, because I've been divorced twice, and then I had one long-term relationship of 9 years. And so, yeah, there were problems. So when you start sleeping apart, there were problems. I know that Lindsay was in a mental health crisis, but I don't think it helped that she was sleeping apart from her husband. And especially, she didn't want to sleep with her husband, but she did want to sleep with her mother. So obviously she wanted some comfort. She just didn't want male comfort. And I think there were some issues. Maybe she was afraid that she was going to get pregnant again, because there were some, she had written in her diary saying that she wanted to have another baby, but she needed to get counseling before she had another baby. Well, what kind of counseling did she need? Because she had been writing these things in her Apple and her iPhone, and maybe another notebook or something. And so, yeah, she wanted another baby, even though she was having problems with the 3 children. And she resented the 2 older children because they didn't let her love on her 3rd baby the way that she wanted to. And so, just getting back to Lindsay and her husband, apparently one time she went to some mental health facility, and he dropped her off, and then he went skiing with the son. So at least he was taking care of the son. He wasn't going skiing by himself. He was going skiing with the son. And then she called the Patrick and her mother, and she said that obviously she was having thoughts of harming the children. And so on at least 2 occasions, she said she was having thoughts of harming the children. And Patrick said, well, should you be left apart from the children if that's how you feel? And she said, no, they're safe with me. Well, we know now that they weren't safe with her. And I think that Patrick and her mother, they didn't take it seriously. They didn't take it seriously, what she was saying. I don't think that they really understood the gravity of what she was saying. But in hindsight, hindsight is 2020. When she started saying she was having thoughts of harming the children, they should have separated her from the children. They should have done that. But hindsight is 2020. I don't think that they really fully understood the gravity of what she was saying. And also because they were middle-class professionals, they probably were embarrassed that Lindsay had a mental illness and didn't want to talk about it. Because I do know somebody that he's got this obsession with being middle class, and he does have mental health problems, but he won't admit to having mental health problems. The only thing that he will admit to is having autism, and he says autism isn't a mental illness, but I'm not so sure I agree with that. And then so, because they were middle class, they were probably embarrassed and ashamed that Lindsay had a mental illness. So they didn't really fully take into account what she was trying to say to them. And because Lindsay was really embarrassed and ashamed that she had a mental illness, and also from what I heard on watching YouTube videos and things, they said that if she had admitted to anybody that she was hearing voices, then she probably would have lost her children, and she probably would have lost her nursing license, because you have to have a license to be a nurse. And so I think that she didn't want to admit to anybody that she was hearing voices until it was too late. And then she had admitted 2 times that she had thoughts of harming the children, and you don't know how long she had been thinking that before she admitted it. And as I said, hindsight is so much better than foresight. I'm sure that they deeply regret not taking her away from the children. And then so they said that Patrick would go to brunches with his friends, and I think he was trying to carry on as normal. I think that he was embarrassed and ashamed that he had a wife who had a mental illness. And another thing is, because talking about Patrick being a Catholic and Patrick's mother being a Catholic, and I don't know what religion Lindsay is or was, but a lot of these really fanatical religious people think that if you have a mental illness, that you are possessed by demons. Because I know that I was speaking to my sister about this on Facebook Messenger, and she was just saying that they're possessed by demons. And I don't know, I do think something's going on. I'm not going to go so far as to say someone who has a mental illness is possessed by demons, but that's what a lot of people think. A lot of people think that if you have a mental illness, that you are possessed by demons. So I don't think that Lindsay and Patrick had this close relationship that they want people to think that they had. And the reason for that is because after Lindsay did what she did, Patrick didn't have any more contact with her. He didn't visit her in the hospital. She actually got a phone from a psychologist or a therapist and rang him. And so she rang him one time and told him that she was hearing voices, which she should have told him before then, but I think she was worried about losing her kids and losing her nursing license. And then I think the following day or something, she rang him, and he just put the phone down on her, said that it didn't sound like her. So he put the phone down on her. So he wasn't supportive of her. If they had this really good relationship that the media are trying to portray them as having, he wouldn't have just left her like that. And I know she did a really awful thing. I do believe that she was mentally ill at the time. She did a really awful thing, but Patrick didn't stand by her. He didn't visit her in the hospital. He put the phone down on her when she rang, and he divorced her and married somebody else. So I don't think they had this fantastic relationship that some people are trying to portray them as having. And I think that when she did what she did to the children, that was the final straw. But my alarm has gone off, and I've got somebody waiting for me, so I've got to go. So if you like my video, please like and subscribe, and I will be making more videos for you very soon.